This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Paul Seaburn. Hi, how's it going out there in podcast world? No, I'm not pumped up on coffee here. I'm actually taking herbal tea.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, herbal tea, no caffeine in it. But for some reason, I'm wild and ready to go today. So,
Good.
grab onto your armrest or whatever it is you're sitting in and get ready for another edition of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. We're here every week live at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we're on YouTube, so you can watch us on YouTube. They watch us live on YouTube as well, if I remember correctly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So if you watch us on YouTube, please follow us. That's a big thing for us, is follow us, especially on YouTube. We're also on all the major platforms. Go to newclevelandradio.net. You'll find out all the places to link to us and listen to the show while you're exercising, like our good buddy Mark does down in Austin. Hi, Mark. We've got I got a couple other shout outs for the show this week. So we love doing that. I'm on Facebook. So, stop by, say hello to me on Facebook. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, so let's see who's on the screen with us this week. We've got Karen Hale from NewClevelandRadio.net, the media mogul, owner, producer of our show, and co-host as always. Hi, Karen. And somewhere on the screen is John DiNallo, our co-host and sports commentator. Hey, John.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Karen. And hey, hello to the audience.
Absolutely.
Nice day in Northeast Ohio, which is where we're at today. We are, 2 weeks away from Christmas. So I have my alien Christmas shirt on. Let's see if you can see the Christmas alien there. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of my friends who's an alien wondered what we were doing. He thought we should be celebrating Festivus or some other strange holiday. But once I explained to him what Christmas was, he said, with his two fingers in the air, he said, "Oh, I got just the thing for you."
Right.
So anyway, that's what we've got going here. Let's see. No alien stories this week, but we've got some other great stories here for you. Let's see. Give you a preview of what's coming up. We've got a very sad sword swallower. This is he's alive. Don't worry. don't tune into something else. He is alive. It's an interesting but sad story. Something worse than alligators is happening in Florida. So you want to stay tuned for that, especially if you plan to go to Florida anytime soon. We believe it or not, on What in the World, we have some strange Christmas gift buying and decorating tips. So you want to be sure to tune in for that. Big scandal in England, a fish and chips scandal. So if you want to know what that's all about,
no.
Soon. It's a bad news. What to do with old jeans. I know, I'm sure both of you and everybody out there has plenty of old jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've got something you can do with yours, John, that your wife will be happy when she finds out.
All right.
Not set them on fire, but she'd probably be happy about that too. And so more odd news in world. Strange sport for us. And then we'll play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the co-host. So let's get started. We as I mentioned before, we are on YouTube. One of the reasons we're on YouTube is because we have a few photos that go along with some of our stories. So if you want to see the photos, I'll try the best I can to describe them for you as I put them on the screen if you're listening. But if you want to see what they look like, sometimes they're as strange as the story. Please check us out on YouTube. So let's start with Florida. John just came back from Florida. Did you see any alligators while you were down there, John?
Paul and Karen, no, we really did not see any alligators. I mean,
have you ever seen any alligators while you were down there?
Yes, we have. But for our trip that we were down there for a little over a week, we did not see any alligators. So, yeah.
Captive or loose? I'm sorry. I'm just wondering. Loose, yeah, running around wild, yeah.
Right, not. Yes, but no, we were fortunate not to see any.
Oh, okay. Well,
fortunate.
Now I'm going to give you something else to be worried about when you go down. Have you ever seen any iguanas while you were down there, by the way?
Captive. I'm going to say captive.
Captive. Okay. So you've never seen them freeze in the tree and fall out on
I'm
someone.
going to say. I'm going to say we have not. No.
Right. Okay. So those are the two big things that people worry about when they
Mhm.
visit Florida. They worry about alligators, which they should because they're dinosaurs and they like to eat people. And iguanas falling out of the tree when they freeze. And we've talked about that on the show a number of times. Well, big
Sure.
story in Florida this week. There's a new threat, And that new threat is crocodiles, not alligators, but crocodiles. It turns out, and this is not many people know this, there is also, just like the American alligator, there is also an American crocodile. Very rare, not seen as much as you see crocodiles in Australia or in Egypt, for example, on the Nile. But it turns out American crocodiles are coming back.
What is the difference between a crocodile and an alligator?
Oh, very good question, Karen. I'm sure that everybody out there wants to know the same thing. The spelling. The spelling is the
Aren't the snouts supposed to be different?
You knew John knew the answer to this
Of
one.
course.
Yes.
I didn't
The snouts are different. By the way, John, what the alligators are the mascot of what Florida team?
The University of Florida.
University of Florida. That's right. I knew you'd know that. I don't believe that. Well, anyway. So, and you're right. The snouts are narrower, but crocodiles in general are meaner than alligators. So even though their mouths are smaller, they'll bite you twice as much, and it's just as bad as being attacked by an alligator. So, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the people to go to. Estimate the number of Florida crocodiles has increased from 1975 to now from 300 to well over 2,000 adults. And that doesn't count all the eggs and little baby crocodiles that are running around. So that's enough that they could be the mascot of the next Florida professional football team. And believe it or not, Tom Brady is already asking to be traded to that team. So
Good one.
Tom Brady he paid me to get in the news. He said, "But all I'm getting is bad publicity. Give me some good publicity." So there you go, Tom. They found an 8-foot crocodile in Brevard County, which is on the east coast of Florida. But John, get ready for this, in Sanibel, which is on the southwest side of Florida, just on the Gulf. They had multiple sightings of American crocodile. Also, all across Florida, they've been seen in Cajun restaurants. So but along with a side of fried alligator. So you go to the Cajun restaurant in Florida and you ask your waiter for an alligator. Sometimes he'll say, "If you wait a while, I'll bring you a crocodile."
Oh.
So, I know, John, I'm sorry. Where now, people of a certain age, maybe younger, recognize those lines from, or at least the rhyme from a famous song. Do you remember the name of that song, John?
No, I do. I can't remember the name, but I do remember the song. I
Remember the song. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to sing it.
Thank you.
I would ask Karen to sing it. Karen's got a
no, you wouldn't. No.
The song is "See You Later, Alligator." And a famous band, a band that is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, actually broke that song. Any venture of a guess on that one, John?
Let me think here.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, early member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, I'll give it to you because
is it Bill Haley in the Comets?
Whoa, Karen! Well, I pulled that one out. That's great, Bill Haley in the Comets.
Very good.
That was their that was their third hit. They had "Rock Around the Clock" and some other one, and then they had "See You Later, Alligator." Featured, by the way, in the movie "Rock Around the Clock." So written by songwriter Bobby Charles, who was also a singer, but it was a flop for him. Top 10 hit for Bill Haley and the Comets in 1956. reached number 6 on the Billboard chart, even hit number 7 in England. So don't,
Wow.
all you Brits that start turning your nose up to American rock and roll music. See you later, alligator was number 7 in Great Britain. So I'm looking up some tidbits on the song to fill in this story, and there's other things that you can say to animals that would go in the song besides "See you later, after alligator, after wild crocodile." There is "Gotta go buffalo," "Get in line porcupine," "Hit the road slimy toad," and "Out the door dinosaur." So Bill Haley could have gotten at least 2 or 3 more verses out of that song, and maybe a few more real royalty dollars had he
Yeah.
just
Yeah, really.
spent a little more time on it. Yeah,
A treasure trove of animal songs.
a treasure trove, a safari of animal songs.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so this is the Christmas season. We are, let's see, it is December 13th today, so we're less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. So the hot new Christmas trend in California, and I've got a photo of this one, so I want to make sure I bring it up here. Oh, no, not this one. This is another one. Hot new Christmas trend in California. If you don't want to go out and buy a Christmas tree, or if you don't have one in the attic, you can rent a live potted Christmas tree. Now, I heard this from Willie Nelson, who sent his back when he found out that it was potted and not a pot Christmas tree. But this is a real thing. This is a real thing, people. Potted, you can rent a live tree in a pot. And that's what they call it, the potted tree service. My grandfather, by the way, used to have a potted tree. It's where he dumped his whiskey when grandma came around looking for him. That tree really grew. And the angel kept falling over. But honest to God, it was great. So it's called Rent a Christmas Tree, service out of San Francisco and the surrounding area. They have 1,000 trees that are already potted that they rent every year in the Bay Area and up and down the coast in that area. The trees remain in the pots year round, so they take them back and they continue to keep them in the pots. They hook them up to a drip irrigation system. They call it drip irrigation, which we had one of those back when I was growing up. I don't know if you did, John, but the drip was me because I kept forgetting. I would forget to water the tree, So my father got so mad. He finally one year he got me an alarm to remind me. It was a fire alarm, and it was as soon as the tree started smoking, that was it. I knew time to go water it.
Now, do they come decorated?
No,
Oh.
Karen. Good question. They have a variety of different kinds. They have redwoods, which are the cheapest. I thought they'd be most expensive. Redwoods are $50. They go up to $275 for a Douglas fir, for a nice sized Douglas fir, which still, I'll bet you're going to pay well over $100 for a nice looking tree this year. So if you think about it, a nice live tree already potted, they bring it to you, they take it back. They also have Charlie Brown specials for 50% off, and it's a scrawny little tree, with 1 or 2 branches. You can hang maybe one ornament and a light. 50% off. It's not bad. It's one of the more popular of their trees because people just like that, because it reminds them of the Charlie Brown Christmas, which, we were just discussing this the other day. I asked the lovely Donna when it was going to be on TV so we could watch it like we always do, or record it. And she said that it's on Apple Plus, which we don't have, which is a terrible thing. The kids need to see Charlie Brown's Christmas every year. It was made in 1965. It's still relevant today. It's just a great. But
see, if you're a kid today, you know how to get the movie to watch it, and that's all I'm going to say. They know how to do it.
No, this is Charlie Brown. They go on YouTube. I know they go on YouTube. However, it turns out Apple Plus is required by law. I don't know if the FCC did this or what, but for 3 days from December 22nd through December 25th, Apple Plus TV will run Charlie Brown's Christmas for free. So on those 3 days, you can watch it for free. All the other time, you have to pay the fee to do it. Yeah, and this was a revolutionary show. Charles Schultz had been doing Peanuts since 1950, so he was doing it for 15 years. It was already the biggest comic strip in the world. So he decided to do this show. The producers wanted something radical, so they hired child actors and actresses to do the voices instead of adults with child voices. They use child actors. That's how you never do that. You're not supposed to do that. And instead of using a band or a normal Christmas music band, they hired a jazz trio, the Vince Guaraldi Jazz Trio, and did a jazz version of Christmas songs. John, you remember?
I do. Sure, yeah, it's good. No, it's
you
very
can still hear them in your head. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the third thing they did, which was radical, was they had no laugh track. Now, remember, this was 1965. This was the heyday of laugh track. The news had a laugh track back then. Everything had a laugh track.
Right.
The Charlie Brown Christmas did not have it. So the network said, this is going to be a disaster. We'll never run it again. And it turned out to be, a classic of the Christmas season. But the one thing you have to do when you watch it, you have to do that weird dance that the kids do when they dance around the tree, with their arms up in the air. It's
I know what you're referring to. Exactly.
There you go. That's right. So
I'm going to invite you and Donna over to watch it, and you guys can dance for us.
Do you have Apple Plus TV?
Well, we have Alex's right now.
Oh no. Okay, we need to eat. We need to edit that out so you don't get caught.
It's okay.
All right. So while we're in the Christmas spirit here, let's this is some Christmas buying tips. So this is for people of a certain age. I'll leave it at that. Christmas gift for people of a certain age who are hard to buy for. It's a pool float. You know what a pool float is, those inflatable things. And let me just put a photo of it up here so you can see it as I describe it. This pool float looks like a cassette tape. Now, for those of you who are too young to know what a cassette tape is, back before, well before cell phones, there were things called Sony cassette players, and it was a piece of metal tape or plastic tape inside a plastic box, and you recorded your mixtape, your songs on that piece of on that little plastic thing, and then you stuck it in a slot in your car or in your Sony Walkman and plugged your headphones in, and you listened to the music. So this is for people to reminisce about those days. It's a pool float. I think it's like it appears to be about 7 feet long, 5 feet wide. Two lovely ladies standing next to them. They're clear. This particular model is clear, so you can see through it. They're dangerous, though, from what I heard. The normal side is okay, but if you flip it over to the B side, it plays Wipeout, and you don't want to be on it for that. But I don't know. I think that's a clever little gift right there.
It is. Yeah,
if somebody has a pool, or if they like to go to Florida for their vacations, John.
I'll talk to Annette about that. We'll kind of go back in time a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
The ad for it says that they're transporting parents so you can watch the fish float by. I guess if you lay on your stomach and look down, you can see the fish floating by. And this, for anybody who grew up in this era, they'll relate to this. If you're in the water, particularly if you're in the ocean, and the cassette starts spinning the wrong way, they give you a giant pencil that you put in the hole, and you rewind yourself back into the right position. And I'm not going to even attempt to explain to the kids what that means.
No.
Ask your parents or your grandparents why you use a pencil on a cassette tape.
They'll have the answer.
Yes.
You better believe it. You better believe it, John. Okay, so let's see. John, how old is your oldest pair of jeans? I probably should ask your wife this, but
No, I'll tell you, probably 20 plus years, maybe 20, around 20. I'm going to say 20.
Good for you. That means you still fit in them, or maybe you
Well,
don't. You just
somewhat,
keep
yeah.
them
Oh, no. That's a loaded statement there. No, but I want to say approximately. I'll say approximately 20 years.
Okay, I think I have some that are at least that old. I'm not going to ask Karen because women generally don't keep their jeans as long as men do.
You are correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So here's something you can do with your oldest pair of jeans, John. The oldest known pair of jeans just went up for auction, and they sold for $114,000. Now,
What?
yeah. Here's a photo of them while I describe them for you. There's the jeans right there.
Oh my God.
These jeans were found in a trunk on a shipwreck that sank in 1857 off the coast of North Carolina. Was found later, much later in the 1900s, I believe. It's a pair of work pants that they're white, or they were intended to be white, I guess. Although I don't know if they may have been faded, but they sold for $114,000. They're the oldest known pair of jeans, over 160 years old, which, for most guys, that means they still have a couple of good years left in them. Right? I mean, and get a load of this. The waist is 29 inches, which back in those days, that was relaxed fit. People were a lot thinner than they are now.
Sure.
So thin, very thin. They think they were worn by a miner. And they were an early version of the Levi Strauss jeans that we all wear today. There was also a note in the pocket, and the note was to Levi Strauss, asking what the little pocket is for. Some things never change.
Nope.
So how about that? $114,000 for a pair of jeans. I think if
I could use that money right now.
No kidding. I could use $114. I'll knock off the zero. I still have jeans I'd sell that for. Okay.
It's somewhat hard to believe, real quick though, that I guess they were commonplace at that time. Dungarees or whatever they call
actually them? This good question, John. These jeans actually predate the blue ones that we're thinking of by about 12 years. There's some controversy about these jeans.
Okay.
They believe that Levi Strauss designed them, but they were not the true Levi's that we think of, which he actually started selling in California during the California Gold Rush, which was and then he made a fortune because there were all those guys out there that they ran out there with one pair of pants and got up dirty, and after a couple of years they needed to change them. So Levi Strauss made a fortune and changed history with
wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to take those down that way so we don't have to look at the fly. Okay, so regular listeners of the show know that 2 out of 3 people on your screen right now are Michigan fans. The third one is me. So I've got a Michigan story here for the majority of the show.
Go blue.
This is Sure. Oh, you're welcome. This comes from the Michigan Department of Transportation. And as I mentioned, it's December 13th, so we should have had snow by now. We haven't yet, but they're preparing in Michigan. But they want to cut back on the amount of rock salt that they put on the roads because it's damaging to the road, damaging to the cars, to the ecology. So they put 523,000 tons. I'm all worked up here. 533,000 tons of salt on the road last year. They want to cut back on that. So, and I believe, Karen, way back when we first started the show, we talked about this once, that Michigan in particular substitutes things for their salt occasionally.
Yes.
And this year they're substituting beet juice instead of salt.
Beet juice.
Beet
so
juice.
Now we're going to have red looking snow.
Bingo, that's right.
Oh.
Here's the theory. The theory is that people will see the red snow and think, oh my God, there must be an accident up there. And they'll turn around. They won't even bother trying to drive on the road.
No, they won't. No.
apparently beet juice causes snow to melt, not as much as salt does, but it's much better for the environment. Now, I'm going to guess it stains, but they didn't say anything about that. Michigan drivers though hate it. They from what I heard, the red juice and then the gray snow that it mixes with, those colors remind them of Ohio State. And
You're right.
Okay.
there you go. I had to get it in there.
All right, Paul. That's okay. Oh.
But the more I thought about it, juice on the road is a good idea. It's just they're using the wrong juice. That's the problem. If snow shuts down a road and causes a lot of blockage, you don't need beet juice. You need prune juice. That clears the road out.
Those cars will go, go, go.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Gotta say it.
Okay, John, you we'll give you that one. Okay, so I'm going to warn Karen here. I have a photo that goes along with this particular story. The next story.
Okay.
This is about world famous sword swallower Scott Nelson, who calls himself Murugan the Mystic. Strange name for a sword swallower, but that's the name he goes by. He was hospitalized recently in Washington, D.C., following a sword swallowing mishap at Six Flags of America, which is an amusement park in Maryland. The closest hospital is in that handles sword swallowing accidents is in Washington. So they rushed him to the hospital where they determined that the swords scissored, this is a medical term, scissored his abdominal cavity and pierced the lobe of his liver.
Ooh,
You want to see
that
the
doesn't
guy
sound
who,
good.
I know, yeah, it sounds terrible. Here's the guy himself swallowing the sword. There you go. So there is, I get his name right,
Oh,
Murugan the Mystic. Now, but for those of you who can't see the photo, he has 6 swords sticking halfway out of his throat. So he's already, half. They're down in his stomach by now. Yeah. I mean, so doing something like this, he scissored his stomach and he pierced the lobe in his liver. He was in the hospital for more than a month. So he can't swallow any swords. So to keep in shape, he would ask the nurses, instead of giving him a shot in the butt, just give him the syringe and he'd swallow the syringe.
oh,
He's got to stay in shape, Karen.
I guess.
Gotta make sure he stays in practice. Yeah. Okay.
So you know what? I think, John, this is something that you need to research. Why would anybody in their right mind swallow swords?
That's a good question, Karen. And why would people? That's a great one. In fact, don't you think sword swallowing is, just an aside, is really kind of like off the radar screen for so long?
Where do you hear this? Those are excellent questions. The answer to the first question is he does it for the money.
Oh.
That's what he does it for. He does it for the money. But the injury occurred while he was swallowing 5 swords. So I believe he's got 5 in his mouth right there. The swords are 24 to 28 inches long. So that's over 2 feet long and approximately a half an inch wide. So they're not, they're wider than a table knife, but not as wide as a yardstick or something like that. Which, I mean, it's still pretty big. I choke. I'm eating a popsicle and I get down to the stick, I start choking.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
I just can't imagine. And it's a good news, bad news kind of thing. The good news is, and this is what the Murugan the Magnificent said from the hospital himself. He said, it's good news, bad news. The good news is I lost 50 pounds and I quit smoking. The bad news is the reason why he quit smoking is because he looked down at his belly button and there was smoke coming out of it.
Oh.
So he knew either quit or start using shorter swords.
There are so many questions associated with this, I think. Wait
do you hear this, John? Okay, so the sword swallowing actually goes back to ancient Greece, ancient Roman Greece. The first sword swallowers, the oldest known record of them, comes from the 1st century AD from Greece and Rome. but and it was an entertainment thing. They used to, these guys would entertain at the original toga parties. But believe it or not, in recent years, sword swallowers have been good test subjects for physicians, the ones that look down your throat, the esophageal people,
Yeah.
because their throats are wide. So sword swallowers have actually been credited with helping to design the endoscopes that doctors use to look down your throat. To this day, there was a story that I was reading back in the 2000s, in like 2008, 2009. Another new technique was perfected by a doctor who used a sword swallower to test it. So you may scoff, and we all have, and rightly so, but they do provide a service to the medical field. So,
Well,
besides
thank
to
you.
emergency room doctors.
And thank you to all the sword swallowers.
There you go.
Oh.
You see a sword swallower walking down the street with 5 swords sticking out of their throat, say their mouth, "Thank you for your service." That's what
That's right.
Okay. So speaking of thanking someone for their service, and I have a photo of this, so we'll take that down here. So there's a guy, his name is Stephen Christopher. He's an active duty Air Force pilot, lives in Sterling, Virginia. He just set a Guinness World Record. John, get ready for this. You're not going to believe this. He ran a 10K race, get ready, in 48 minutes and 1 second. How about that?
Wow, 48 minutes.
Yeah, pretty slow, isn't it?
Wow.
The record is 27 minutes. He's 20 seconds off the world record.
Wow.
But he set a different world record. His record, he ran in 48 minutes while pushing a 4-seat stroller containing his 4-year-old, his 2-year-old, and twin 10-month-old kid. 4 kids in a stroller, 6.2 miles, 48 minutes. Now, are you impressed?
I'm very impressed.
What
What was the terrain like? I was just curious. Was
does it matter? I mean,
well, no, I'm just
hoping
saying
it was flat. It was in Virginia. It was in Virginia.
Right. Okay, sure.
What you want? What you want it hilly so the kids get sick while they're going up and down?
I mean, it's
like on a roller coaster. Whee! They're putting their arms up.
it's a phenomenal story. I mean, yeah, how can you not be impressed with that? I mean,
Heck, if I would have convinced my father to push me in the stroller if he did that. He set a second record, by the way. He also set a record for passing out the most Cheerios to kids during a race.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's what he said. He said the hardest part of the race was not the run. The hardest part was keeping the 4 kids entertained for 48 minutes. You should see him at the grocery store. I mean, you don't want to get in front of this guy. He's got a cart full of stuff. He's pushing. He's pushing like crazy. This is the guy. Now, speaking of snow and snow in the road, this is the guy you want to have as a neighbor. You call him up. "Hey, Steve, my car's stuck at the bottom of the driveway again." This guy can come out one hand, pushes it right up into your garage for you. He's a wizard at pushing stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm thoroughly impressed with that. Okay. Big scandal in England. Big, huge scandal in England. Has to do with fish and chips. Now, everybody in England eats fish and chips, and they don't make it at home. They eat it at fish and chip shops. Okay, it's hard to say. I'm going to say it once. Fish and chip shops. Now, and we'll talk about this in a second. For anyone who's been to England, one of the first things is you don't tartar sauce or fish sauce at a fish and chips shop. You ask for malt vinegar. That's what they eat their fish with is malt vinegar. Investigators in England found out that some of the shops were cheating their customers, and they were not serving. Yeah, they were not serving real malt vinegar. They were serving something they call. Now they said malt vinegar on the bottle, but they substituted a non-brewed condiment containing water, acetic acid, and various artificial flavorings. Now, the way you can tell if you're using fake malt vinegar is you take a big whiff of it, and if it smells good, it's not real vinegar, because it smells terrible. Now, John and Karen, I don't know if Karen, if you remember this, John, back when we were growing up, one of the fast food places in the Cleveland area that sold fish and chips was called what?
Arthur Treacher's.
Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. That's right. And when
And
you
there's
bought,
still one left.
there's still one left. Thank you. We're going to get to that. They served it with malt vinegar. You could get little packets of malt vinegar, but you could also get regular fish sauce to eat with it. Karen pointed out that there's actually there's. Are you thinking of the one in Garfield Heights, or are you thinking of the one in Cuyahoga Falls? The one in Garfield Heights was, I thought the same, was the last Arthur Treacher. Turns out that one is not an original Arthur Treacher, but there is an original, the last original Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips, freestanding they call it, because it wasn't connected to a building, is in Cuyahoga Falls, which is right down the road from us,
Wow.
right down the road from you, where you're at, and not far from where we live. The one in Garfield Heights is not official. There's a couple more that still have the logo, but they're not considered to be official. So Arthur Treacher, John, this is for you, and you'll understand why. What was Arthur Treacher known for before his Fish and Chips?
Well, wasn't he the straight man for Merv Griffin? If I'm not
That's right.
mistaken.
That's right. He was Merv Griffin's sidekick.
Yes.
He was. I know about sidekicks, I know.
Do you know what he did before that? Where did he pick up his British accent? Obviously, he was born in England.
But didn't he have some kind of role in government or something in England? Or I thought he was a public servant of some kind. I might be off.
I didn't see that. I didn't read his whole biography, so you could be right about that. He was born in 1894. He was an English character actor when we learned about him. He played a butler, of course. What else is a British guy going to do? Big, tall British guy. He performed as Jeeves, the famous British butler. He was also a butler in multiple Shirley Temple movies. So if you look up Shirley Temple, you might find him there.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on that. Wow.
Yeah, and he was in Mary Poppins. Now, I didn't know this. He played Constable Jones. So he played the police officer, not a butler. So he stretched his repertoire by playing out of character.
Right.
Pretty good.
How about that? So he was an announcer for a number of years for Merv Griffin. Arthur Treacher claimed that he had nothing to do with the forming of Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. He was not an owner. He was merely their spokesperson and let them use his name in order to promote it. At one time, it was like one of the fourth or fifth leading fast food chains in the United States.
I remember.
Yep.
It was very popular. Sure.
Huge, especially in places like Cleveland with a huge Catholic population. During Lent, you had to wait for hours to get fish and chips from Arthur Treacher's.
Sure.
Back in the ancient days, when they didn't deliver for you kids out there.
What?
You had to stand in line. Anyway, so another story here from the United Kingdom. This one comes from Scotland, and I've got a photo of this one too. So we'll make sure I bring it up here. There's a woman in Scotland who says she hates decorating her Christmas tree, hates it so much that she figured out a way to get the task done almost immediately every year. So every year, she shared this on TikTok, and the internet is just going crazy. She says when the holidays are over. One year, she decided, I'm never doing this again. So she wrapped her Christmas tree in clear plastic wrap. And if you want to know what that looks like, sorry, there's sword swallower. Here we go. So here's her tree wrapped in clear plastic wrap. I can't say the brand name because they're not a sponsor of ours, but you can guess what kind she used. And wrapped from head to toe, or from root to star at the top. And the next year, she puts it up in her attic or in her garage or wherever she keeps her Christmas tree. Following year, she takes it out, she unwraps it, and it looks like this. Isn't that nice? She didn't have to hang any ornaments. She didn't have to hang any tinsel. All she had to do was plug the the wire in for the lights, and she's back in business.
That's
Wow.
my kind of tree.
Wow.
And there you
Very nice. Nicely decorated also. Nicely decorated.
yeah, you could probably do it with the menorah too, Karen.
Oh, I sure could. Yep. Uh-huh.
Good.
It works so well. She was explaining on TikTok. It works so well. She's thinking of doing it with her husband next year too.
What an idea. Ooh.
I knew you'd like that one, Karen. Now there's one you would try.
Yes.
So here's something I didn't know. Obviously, this is an artificial tree. Artificial trees were invented in Germany in 1880. And when Christmas trees became so popular, because the holiday became popular, that the forest were disappearing. So they needed to do something to save the forest. So the original trees, get a load of this, the original trees were made with goose feathers. They would take feathers from actual geese, split them, paint them green, and attach them to dowel rods. And then they would assemble the rods into a shape of a tree. Now, this looked terrible. It was hard to hang things on. The feathers fell off. So, and if you had a cat, it would drive them crazy. So, So wait till you hear what they did. So in the early 1900s, a company in Great Britain by the name of Addis Brush Company decided that, hey, our brushes might make good Christmas trees. Now, what was the number one selling brush for the Addis Brush Company? The brush that they invented, the toilet brush. So, believe it or not, the first artificial Christmas trees made by them were the same stuff that they made their toilet brushes out of, painted green. And they were hugely popular. So that started the revolution of the artificial Christmas trees. Aluminum trees came in the 1950s. The lovely Donna and I have an aluminum tree that goes with our decor. They were the first successful Christmas tree that wasn't green. And they were futuristic. Everybody thought, oh, this is going to be the wave of the future. And you know what killed the aluminum tree? We just talked about it, the Charlie Brown Christmas story. Because, in the movie, in the show, the special, Lucy, I don't know if it was her family or just she, brought out this big aluminum Christmas tree, and she was so proud of it. And all Charlie Brown had was his little skinny Christmas tree, but that reflected the true meaning of Christmas, whereas Lucy's tree only reflected light. So people thought, this is great. Let's go with the skinny, scrawny tree, and it killed the business for the aluminum Christmas trees. Scary bit of trivia here. Up until 1882. The only lights on Christmas trees were candles. Now, I cannot imagine lit candles on a Christmas tree. In 1882, Thomas Edison's assistant, Edward Johnson, came up with the idea of electric Christmas tree lights. And that they were first mass produced in 1890. They were untangled in 1891. And, when one goes out, they all go out. It's just like having lunch at the office. One person goes out, they all go out. Now, let's see what time let's see if I can. I want to get to John's sport here. Okay. John will like this one here. So this is another world record. This is a world record from where's this lady from? Oh, from the United States. Although she lives in Ireland now, and you'll understand why in a second. So this American woman lives in Ireland. She broke a Guinness World Record for the most panties put on one at a time in 30 seconds. She put 19 pairs of underwear on in 30 seconds. So she's an American woman. She lives in Ireland. Reason why she lives in Ireland, she's wanted for shoplifting in the United States.
Oh, geez.
Her name, the real person, her name is Rachel Schmidt, moved to Dublin. She lives in Dublin. She decided she wanted to break a record, and this was the record that she found. Now, of course, John wants to see what this woman looks like. So here she is. Now, there she is holding one of the, and those are really granny pants. They're black, but they're still, and there she is with the 19 pairs on, and she has, before anybody worries, she has tights on underneath. So
Well,
Wow.
like if she's the record holder, I mean, at least you can say that, I guess,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah, that's 30 seconds. So they ask her why, what made you decide to go for this record? Here's what she said. She said that it reminded her of making costume changes, quick changes when she performed in theater production. So which is what they do. You got to go back and backstage and make change from one costume to another. But she got really good at the panty portion, which I mean I want to see whatever musical she was in. If they do, first thing I thought of Mamma Mia, because that's what I would say if I saw somebody doing that.
Yeah.
But I figured it out. It's one of two musicals. It's either the Panties of the Opera or
Oh,
or Kinky Booty. One of those two.
okay.
One of those two are the ones
All
where
right,
she
you
learned how
got
to
to
do
narrow
it.
down anyway, so it's a process of elimination. Paul. That's a good one.
All right, so that's our world record for this week. The 30. So this is obviously you can try. This is something you can try at home. A lot of our things we talk about on What in the World. In fact, the sport coming up is one of them. These are not necessarily things that you want to try at home. This is one you could certainly do, especially if you have 19 pairs of panties around. But I think women in panties are like men in jeans, if I'm not mistaken. Karen, you can probably vouch for that. Women have far more pairs of underwear than they could wear in multiple years. Same with
I wouldn't know about that. Not
Oh,
me.
okay. All right, well then we'll move on.
Okay.
And, take that down here. So, all right, so that means, let's see, it's time for What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Every week I ask John to my old friend that he's a guy who knows everything about sports. If I have a question on sports, I turn to John, and John generally knows it. So he's the perfect person to find weird sports for What in the World of Sports. And every week I challenge him. Sometimes I ask to find something that we might be able to participate in or sponsor a team, something like that. The sport he has this week is not one that I think we'll be participating in, but you never know. So John, why don't you explain to us the sport you have for us this week while I line up your photos?
Oh, sounds good, Paul. And Karen, thanks for the introduction. Yes, this would be classified as a very, very strange sport, and let me explain why. So, in honor of the World Cup competition, which we've seen,
yeah, the World Cup, right?
okay, our sport
Soccer,
this week is CPAC Bola Api. Three words: CPAC Bola Api, or it's also referred to as the Fireball game. Now, wait.
Okay.
Okay, now wait. It's a lot like football or even soccer as we know it, but there's a big difference. The ball that is used in the competition is on fire.
I have a cream that will take care of that, but
Yeah.
So anyway,
the ball, you're referring to the soccer ball.
the
I'm
soccer
sorry.
ball is on fire. That's right.
Really? The
All
ball
right.
is on
Keep
fire.
going with
Okay.
that. Wait.
All right. Okay. So tell us more, John.
The game is very popular in Indonesia. And in Indonesia, the name CPAC Bola Api translates to flaming football.
Flaming football. Okay.
Flaming football.
Now, the game originated as an activity to play during the month of Ramadan, which makes sense because it is played at night when the fasting of Ramadan is over, and then normal activities are allowed. What better way to play soccer at night than with a flaming ball that's easy to see?
If you can't afford lights.
Well, there's something to that, Paul.
Yes, I don't know.
An audience. But wait. So there's an actual structure to this. Okay, this is not some kind of random activity.
Of course not.
Like football, two teams of 11 players, they kick a ball and they try to shoot it into an opposing goal. Unlike football, the players are barefoot and the ball is on fire.
Yeah,
And as you can imagine, wait, as you can imagine, a normal football would not last very long while it's on fire. So CPAC Bola Api is played with a special ball that is made from, get ready for this, coconut shells.
Ow, ow. Oh, no.
Ooh, that
Coconut
hurts.
shells.
So
Now-
it's hot and hard at the same
Yes,
time.
it is. Now, the best coconuts.
There's a
are-
joke in there too, but I'm not going to say it.
Now, we'll leave that unsaid, Paul. We'll leave that unsaid.
But for those of you who are interested, we do have photos of these people. This is absolutely for real. These people are barefoot and the ball is covered in flames and they're kicking it just like a real soccer game.
And the best coconuts are old and dry. And the trick is to remove around 1/4 of an inch from the outer skin of the shell and then rounding it using a knife. So there's an actual technique to make sure that the balls are consistent. Now,
Okay.
so what you'll do is as you're trying to get these coconut shells to line up or to be able to be used in competition, they remove the liquid inside the coconut, and then they soak the ball in petroleum or kerosene. Wait,
Oh,
the soaking can last. Wait a minute. The soaking can last from as few as 30 minutes, and some people will soak it for 21 days.
Oh
holy
my
cow.
God.
Wait, before the big match, and then the competitors, the players, they must avoid food that is cooked with fire. Any food that's cooked with fire has to be avoided. There's no sleep for the competitors the night before, and saying the special flaming football prayer, "Oh fire, be cool, and you survived."
Oh, fire, be be cool. Look at
There's more
I'm
ritual.
looking at this picture right here. The ball it's not just a little flame. This is a huge flame shooting out from the ball. And I'm going to say this in the nicest way I can, crotch high. So
Oh, yeah. That's in the picture. That's clearly in the picture. Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only are your feet in danger and your head, obviously, if you're gonna hit it with your head. Although, why would you hit a ball made out of coconut with your head is a question.
Well, I mean, a few players do that, Paul.
And then the flames are high enough. Here they are spreading their legs trying to kick it, and the flames are there's multiple balls in danger here. Let's put it this way. Okay,
that's an accurate statement. Wait, but now, so there is a method to their madness.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Hear me out. Hey, after going through the rituals, the players, because of what they've done previously, they're going to no longer fear fire. So they played the game barefoot, and then even in some cases, as you said, Paul, use their heads to handle the ball.
Look at this guy.
But also they use
Oh my God.
Yeah.
wait a minute, their torsos. So basically, any body part can be used in this competition. Now, where it's popular, I'm going to have to pronounce these names carefully. Yogyakarta.
Oh, Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta. You've never been to Yogyakarta?
I have never been to Yogyakarta.
Oh, that's a big city in Indonesia. Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's other regions here that have to be
Oh, there's
recognized.
more. This is not just the
Representing.
Yogyakarta Crocodile. That's the name of their team. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. And there's
Look at the
Wait a
flames,
minute.
Karen. You've got anyone who's listening to this, you have to go to YouTube and see this. This is the most
right. It's words won't do it justice. So Bogor, Tasikmalaya, and Papua regions of Indonesia. That's where those games are played. Are in those 4 different regions of Indonesia.
Wow.
For the record, I would like to see how the World Cup stars would do in a game of CPAC Bola Api. It's pretty hard.
I don't think
Wait
so.
a minute. It's pretty hard to fake an injury when you're on fire. Just think of that.
Really?
Now,
Yeah.
flaming football would also make a great college sport in the U.S., if you think of it. I can already hear the marching bands playing "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel, "I'm on Fire" by Bruce Springsteen, and of course, "Great Balls of Fire" by Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh,
Oh,
of course. Oh my God,
very good.
that would be
do it.
great. I
What?
think, yeah, the Yogi, what's the name of that city? Yogi Akarta.
Yogi Yakarta. Now, here's what I have to think, though. Of all the sports that we've done for all this time, right? This is the most dangerous. I mean, this is
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, we've had other things with the skiing and underwater sports and so forth. Okay, but this has got to be clearly the most dangerous sport.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you? I don't know. Well, let's put it this way, Karen. Unfortunately, there's no associations that I can record or I can relate to you. So I don't know if there's anything that's done formally there, but there is a structure, but no association to my understanding.
Well,
of this.
I guess.
I'll tell you, I don't think we should introduce this in the United States.
Are you sure? I think there's enough people who would play this. So
Yeah, there are, but I still don't think we should bring it to the U.S.
It could be an illegal game.
This
It could
is
be an illegal activity.
I know we're looking at a photo here. This one was played during the day, so they apparently they do it outside of Ramadan during the day. And look at this: the grass is on fire. So it's not just the ball. As the ball is rolling over the grass is flaming. This is, but you're right, John. This is by far the most dangerous.
It is the most dangerous. It really is.
Yeah.
So,
And most people.
I wanted to report it because it was so weird. I mean, this is our show is weird news,
Yes.
right? This is really a weird sport. So
Really weird. Not something that people like us would try, right?
no, we would not do that.
No.
I'm sorry, John, but I hate that. Your memory is fading because we did play this once.
Or back in the fraternity.
That's right. Back in college. That's right. I believe it was after a hard night of partying, or maybe a hard week. I'm not sure. And somebody got the bright idea to set a soccer ball on fire, and we ended up playing some sort of version of the flaming balls of Indonesia. And I believe I have a photo of one of us after the game was over. This poor guy's feet are on fire. I'm not sure if that's you or John. Those shoes are pretty stylish, so I think that's you, John. I don't think that's me.
Oh, that could be me. Well, look, I have jeans on, right? I got those are old jeans.
I'm gonna guess you still own those jeans, right?
I bet you if I look far enough in my closet, I'm sure I could dig them out somewhere. Sure.
All right. So the flaming balls of Indonesia, courtesy. I'm even going to attempt to pronounce the actual name of the sport, but another great sport from John DiNallo and What in the World of Sports. Thanks so much, John, for that sport.
You're welcome, Karen. Thanks.
One more sport we have for those of you who are regular listeners, and if you're new, it's time for Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. Bluff the Co-host is played just like let's see, I forgot my intro here. It's what I have are 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference: those were true. Even John's flaming balls are true.
Whoa!
The Bluff the Co-host, the 3 stories may be true, they may be a bluff, one or more or all or none. It's up to you and Karen and John to decide which ones are real, which ones are bluffs. Gambling, betting is allowed, so place your bet. Karen and John, hands on the buzzer. All of these stories have a theme, which you should be able to figure out pretty quickly. So let's get started with story number 1. When a man in Wisconsin brought his pet talking parrot with him when he moved into an assisted living center, everyone was excited until they found out that most of the parrot's vocabulary was swear words. Rather than make the man give up his longtime pet, 2 aides at the center spent their lunch hours with the bird and managed to teach him substitute words for the swear words. This is apparently a common problem, as other senior centers in the area heard about this and offered to hire the aides to do the same for their foul-beaked birds, which were pets of the residents. The aides now have a nice side gig, retraining foul fowls and working on an audio training program to sell nationwide. So The person who brings his swearing bird to the assisted living center, and rather than getting rid of the bird or him, two aides train the bird how to not say swear words, and now they're starting a business. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Well, I was almost believing this until you said they started a business, because how many people have parrots that you're going to go retrain? So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Oh, Karen put some thought into her answer and says that it's a bluff. How about you, John? What do you say?
Yeah, I'm with Karen on this for exactly the same reason. I mean, I can see that there might be like one or two parrots in an area or somewhere where they're swearing, and then, people are going to come to try to correct them. But how can you get an actual business going? I mean, what are the numbers associated with this? I mean, I'm not trying to be a killjoy, but I'm just saying, like, the widespread. Nah, it's a bluff. It's a bluff. For sure.
Oh. Oh, he's adamant about it. It's
He is.
John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations to both of you. That is a bluff. That story, by the way, was sent to me by our friend of the show, Gail, who lives down in Tennessee. And I've known John since college. I've known Gail since grade school. So thank you for that, Gail.
Well, thank you, Gail.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so score's 1-1. Wow, that's just a good start for a Bluff the co-host. Let's get right to story number 2. Karen, the theme this week is jobs. So,
okay.
A man in England decided he was tired of working low-paying supermarket jobs and having no money to pay his bills. So one night, while downing a cheap pint at his favorite pub, he got an inspiration that has made him a rich man. He now drinks beer, belches into jars, seals them, and sells them on the internet. He claims he now makes $27,000 a month belching for pay, and has branched out to take requests for burps from carbonated beverages other than beer and ale. He has actually paid off his bills and now rents a separate flat just for his business. Before you ask, he doesn't sell farts. He has to maintain his dignity. Okay, so the man who makes $27,000 a month belching into a jar and selling them. What do you say, John? The burp of the month club, real or bluff?
Well, I'm gonna go to the logic card on this one. Again, I'm going to the logic card because I just hope it's not true, because how can you have a business from belching? I mean, really? I mean, there's a market for anything, right? I mean, general thinking is there's a market for anything or any service or any product, correct? A market of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this is preposterous.
Preposterous. Okay. Word for the day.
That one. I believe this is a preposterous story.
Okay, so John says it's a bluff. What do you say, Karen?
Well, I want it to be a bluff, but I don't believe it is, because about a month or two ago, I was listening to the morning WMMS in the morning. They're a bunch of really wild guys. And they were talking to a female who is doing this with farts and making money on the internet. So I have to say it's true.
So Karen's logic is, if a woman can sell her farts, a man can sell his belches.
Absolutely.
Only in America. All right. So John, let's see. John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's real. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, congratulations, Karen. That's a real story.
Sorry, John.
Get ready,
Karen, I'm glad you got it right. I mean, because in your logic with that, I mean, I can see how that goes, but that just says something about people. It says something about people. I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, that's going to be
do you remember? And I don't know how long ago this was, but somebody used to sell mason jars on the internet with nothing in them, saying the family secret was in this empty mason jar.
Oh boy.
So
what a
people
great
will
idea.
do anything.
Well, the guy's making, this is a true story. He's making $27,000 a month.
I'm starting it tonight.
Yeah, really.
Belch of the Month Club. I've already got that one.
Okay.
Okay, so the score is 2-1. But everybody knows John can come roaring back in round number 3 because points are doubled in round number 3.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, don't give up hope, John.
I won't.
Okay, so this is story number 3. It seems mixed nuts in the shells are still a popular item for the Christmas party table, but nutcrackers are hard to find. And when you do, no one seems to know how to use them properly anymore. And they end up with whole nuts, with crushed nuts and no mess, and a mess. I'm sorry, crushed nuts and a mess. Enter the professional party nutcrackers, a business run by 2 brothers with strong hands in New Hampshire. After spending a night cracking nuts for the cracker challenged friends at a party a few years ago, they came up with the idea to do it for a fee. A Craigslist ad brought them a season full of gigs, and they've been doing it ever since. They bring their own nutcrackers and have begun to incorporate tricks and jokes into their service. Not only is it fun, it pays well, gets them invited to Christmas parties, and has introduced them to a lot of women who like men with a strong grip. Okay, so 2 brothers in New Hampshire who have a nut cracking service and rent themselves out to Christmas parties to crack perfect nuts every time. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Well, I've never heard of it before, but I think it's real because I think if somebody really marketed themselves well, people would look at it as entertainment at their party. So I'm going to say real.
Okay. So the joke cracking nutcrackers, Karen says it's real. How are you at cracking nuts, Karen? Oh no, wait, that's probably
you don't want to know.
That's correct. So Karen says that is a real story. How about you, John?
Yeah, I think it's real, and I can see this being like something that it's a plausible thing where, again, it would be entertainment at a party and serves the purpose of again, a market for anything or everything. So yeah, I'm going to say this one's true.
Okay, so both of you say it's true. Both of you, so you think that there's a market for nutcrackers, but not for belches in a jar. Is that
right?
I'll take that to the bank. But
okay, so both of you say that the professional nutcrackers are real. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say your logic has failed, both of you. That's a bluff.
Really? I'm going to start the business. I think it's good.
Well, maybe we should.
About this,
John's got quite a grip. I've shaken his hand a number of times. This might be a good retirement job for you, John.
I don't know, Paul. Maybe we could get something off the ground with this. I mean, think about that. Maybe it could be a side hustle. I mean,
yeah.
Really.
Well, speaking of side hustle, that's the end of our side hustle here. Another day of what in the world it has come and gone. But the time just seems to fly during what in the world. So I hope you all had, I hope all of you get that y'all out of my Texas accent.
Y'all.
I've had as much fun as we had on What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, producer of the show, and just all around great co-host. Thank you for everything you do for us and for every podcast at newclevelandradio.net. Please go visit there, download and listen to us, listen to all the great podcasts Karen has. And once again, I want to thank my old friend John DiNallo for What in the World of Sports and being a great co-host and trivia mogul there. Thanks again, John, and hopefully we'll see a good football game this week.
Oh, let's hope. Yes, yeah. And the game is on Saturday this week. Cleveland Browns versus.
Oh, that's right. Cleveland Browns play on Saturday for all of our Cleveland listeners. So
make sure you have your brown and orange on, and let's go Browns.
There you go. And thanks again to Gail down in Tennessee, and for all of our listeners, whether we shout out to you or not, thanks to you. You're the reason why we do this. So thank you for tuning in. Like us, follow us, and do all that great stuff. And we will, let's see. next week is not the holidays yet, so we will still be on
We,
next
we will still be here. And you know what? I'm going to just put this out there. If anybody wants to send us Christmas cookies, please do, because I have no time to bake this year. So,
Oh, good one. It's a
Wow.
good point.
There you go. Good pitch. Yeah, we're all doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay.